Hello and welcome back to the Coaching with Impact podcast, the go-to podcast for female coaches ready to elevate their coaching business and make a lasting impact on the people that they serve. I am your host, Fifa Tran, and I own Bay Modern Creative, helping diverse female coaches shine with confidence through an elevated online presence using web design and holistic brand strategy. Today, I have a really incredible guest. She is going to be talking a lot about AI, which is like a big thing. But yes, I am excited to chat with you, Susan. Thank you for being here today.
But thank you for inviting me, Fifa. I can't wait to chat.
There's so much we're going to be talking about and diving into today. So
Yep.
let's begin. Let's begin with learning a little bit more about you and hearing a little bit more about your journey, how you started, and in what ways you are building impact.
So I'm sort of a lifetime marketer, and I've gone through sort of like the whole gamut from I started in advertising, moved into corporate communications and PR, and then like about 10 years ago, coinciding sort of with the birth of my kid, like many other women, I think, in the consulting and coaching space, I decided I wanted a lot more freedom. And so I started to look at other options. Initially, my plan wasn't to stay in the marketing space. I wanted to move a bit. And so I went back to exploring some of my more creative past options. Briefly, fun fact, I was a chocolatier. And I
Wow.
tried that again. But I was like, in the long term, it's going to be a lot of effort for a relatively small amount of money. And I like to say I'm lazy.
I love that.
A lot of my choices are made because of laziness, which is a good thing. And so I started to do ghostwriting for like a lot of different accounts, and I would laugh and joke and say that I would write deeply unsexy things because all of the cool lifestyle projects would have a lot of takers and a lot of competition. So I would write about industrial things and B2B things and tech and that kind of thing. So that was sort of my path into entrepreneurship. And from there, over the last 10 years, gone from writing to general marketing strategy and a more generalist thing. And I built it into like an agency model. And over the last like 5 or so years, we focused on podcasting and sort of building thought leadership for people in that form. And then in the last couple of years, I think artificial intelligence has been coming to the forefront more and more. Obviously, when OpenAI started and ChatGPT came out, a lot of progress and like major pivots happened because even though other people had the tech, you know that like not a lot of people moved it that far, right? And these people in one weekend they created the kind of interest for that category that hadn't been created in the previous 10 years, even though some people in the marketing realm are using it. So I took a lot of like time thinking about it, and then I was like, you know what? I want to niche down. I want to bet on the future. And I want to start talking to people about the marketing that's going to work in the future. And so, the problem that I'm hoping to solve for small businesses, solopreneurs, creators, coaches, like listeners of your podcast, is that we always have this thing that you don't have enough budgets to hire all of the specialists, all of the contractors, all of the people that you want to grow your business. But luckily you're in a place in history where you can use technology for some of it, right? And AI can do that for you.
Yeah, we are really in a very interesting age right now where,
I think
we
so.
get to experience a lot of different things in the space. Like things are evolving so quickly. Technology is just
Yeah.
insane now. So, I mean, leverage the tools that we have. I know there's a lot of discussion about AI, whether it's being used for good, whether it's being used for bad. There's different ways about it. But it's really in the way that you use it. And, talk to me a little bit more about that. I know that some people have pushback on the idea of using
Hmm.
AI into their business. Like they're like, oh, doesn't sound like me. I don't know if I can use this for my business. Am I able to use such a technology to grow my business? Like, talk to me a little bit
Yeah.
more.
It's interesting. I think, you know what? There's maybe it's a third of each. There's a third of the people who are like, like myself, who we're optimists. I'm truly like an AI optimist, and I know that a lot of the people that I come across, we tend to attract what we are. And so a lot of the people that are in my circle tend to be AI optimists as well. And then there's another group that is like perhaps also like a third of us who are like fearful and perhaps like asking questions around security and ethical use and like is this kind of almost like cheating because it, like what happens, for example, if you get hugely dependent on these tools and then you don't have them anymore? Like, are we as human beings gonna like end up losing some of our ability to do all of this? And my answer to that group of people is that this is how we tend to feel when we're in the process of any major discovery, right? Whether it's something like the internet or it's something like the calculator or it's even the computer when it came about. And it's fair to be afraid because there is no path, right? And so, like a few people are unafraid to jump in and embrace progress, but many of us are not geared for that. Like many people will tell you that, like a million users for a thing overnight and changing so quickly. Humans are not all built for that kind of speed of adoption necessarily, right? And then obviously you have the third group, in my opinion, who are the people who are like, yes, this is hype. It's just the same as everything else. Like last year it was the metaverse, and this year it's AI, and it's all stupid. It's gonna go away. And I'm sure. I mean, that's just the nature of the world, isn't it? There's gonna be people who are like, yes, no, maybe, for everything. But I truly believe that this technology is one of those like a generation defining thing, right? I mean, I think in the future it's going to run in the background, just like how right now we're privileged enough to do this, and the internet, we don't even think about it. It's just like it's fine, like the Wi-Fi is going to work. Someone made it so, right? And some people adopted that. And like think about all of us when the pandemic came about, and we all sort of like got it together in a couple of days to embrace technology. So yeah, I think we've fed it all up a lot. If this kind of thing had come out before the pandemic, I would have said it'd take a lot longer. But that's I don't know if that answers your feared question, but I do think we're fearful. Like human beings are like, some people are like, come on, let's jump off the cliff and see what's on the other side. And some other people are like, no, let's wait here and see if we can build a bridge, right? So you need a
Yeah.
little bit of everyone in order to keep society moving.
No, I absolutely agree with you on that point. There's always going to be those early adopters, and there's going to be those that are just very hesitant about touching anything of that just because of all these fears. Maybe they're reading all of this news, and it's really what you're consuming too at the end of the day. And you have to
So
still do your due diligence with anything. So,
yeah,
and then you really decide on what your thoughts are on this. But I mean, based on everything that's happening in like for businesses, like a lot of people are using this and adopting this now. And there's people like you who are helping these small businesses to really just leverage something that's readily available for you to just integrate it as part of your business and really take it to the next level. And like you said, it's like, especially if you have a small budget and you're a one woman show or one man show, it's like you need to leverage whatever tools you can to streamline things, to automate things, and AI is really that tool for doing that.
I
So
know. Listen, I cannot overstate that. Like it's a limited amount of time where this will be possible as well, because pretty soon everyone's going to have it. Like I said, it will run in the background eventually, right? But right now, the smaller the team, the more nimble and agile you are, the quicker you can move, the more you can experiment. That whole thing about like fail fast, like use a couple of tools, try it out and you're like, this one sucks, but this one works for me, and then you like make some decisions. And even that process, I think too often people are thinking about it as, oh, this thing like ChatGPT is a way for me to write better. Sure, it's a good place to start because it's obvious, right? It's like, it's words. And so you assume that this thing is supposed to help you write better. But I think the true power of generative AI is its ability to help you think, right? It's almost like having a constant mentor or a constant coach or a constant marketing strategist or a constant web consultant, whatever it is you choose that you need in the moment. It's not to say that this is going to replace a specialist, but it's definitely going to make you 75% better than you were if you were zero.
Absolutely. Yeah. I 100% agree with you on that. I mean, there's so many ways that you can use it. And like, I use it a lot to brainstorm different ideas. And it's really to give me that boost to be able to help me do my job better and to save me a lot of time when it comes to doing things in my business, because I know for a fact that copywriting, even though I love it and doing it for my own things, it's different when I'm like writing to somebody or, like I hold back a lot of the things that I say. And sometimes it's just really difficult for me to say certain things in an email and write it out in a professional way without hurting someone's feelings, especially if it's like a sensitive topic. So ChatGPT and all those AI tools just really help with that. So
To get you out of your head, right? It's like a
exactly.
simple example is one of my I run a mastermind group called the Marketing Power Circle, which is for like entrepreneurs who are interested in like applying the AI in their businesses. And so we talk it out and solution things. And that name, Marketing Power Circle, is not. There's no way. There's no way I would have called something Marketing Power Circle. In fact, we first started with calling it something else, and then it became Marketing Brain Trust because, that's as far as I could take it, simply because I felt like this is a brain trust of a number of people and blah, blah, blah. But like to call myself the head of a power circle and the fact that people who are sitting around me are powerful is a big leap. Even if I believe it, I wouldn't articulate it, right? And so I think this goes so deep into like mindset even, right? It's
Oh,
getting you out of your head on like an epic level. Like it's an epic level of up leveling for someone like me who's like, oh no, I'm nothing. And so I really think that part is what I'm like pretty evangelistic about. I'm like, that's the part I want to talk about. Sure, I can teach you how to write a blog post that's like so much better. I can teach you how to like prompt things beautifully. But I think that like raising it from that level of doing to like, what am I doing that's really going to create an impact in the world, create an impact in my personal world, make it easy, save me time, make me love everything again. We're really there. It sounds like snake oil, but it's not.
but it's true though. I mean, like it's the same with me. Like especially when it comes to like coming up with creative names to like, to just name a program or something. Like that's where I fall short.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like a second brain, even if you know
It
how to use it.
is
Yeah. So
100%.
that's what it is. Like you have to view it as okay, this is like you're kind of like your second brain that you have access to, and it's perfectly fine to use it and tweak it, like tweak the outputs to really tweak it to your brand and make it sound like you and just like help you to do so much more when you don't have the capacity yet to start hiring people. So it's really that first step in really like understanding how you can use it for your business. But I know like, okay, output, copy, output, and all that stuff is like one thing. I know that it can also analyze charts and do all these different things. I know ChatGPT 4, I believe, does that, like the paid version.
Yeah.
Have you tried using do you use the paid version or the free version?
Yeah. I do use the paid version. I personally, when people ask me if it's worth it, I believe so because it's $20. It's a relatively low cost thing. and think about it like buying yourself one like pen every month or whatever, right? So I definitely think it's worth it. And I think specifically for the purpose of being able to attach information in different formats, whether it's
Mm,
like a photo or like a note or like a PDF or an Excel sheet. I think that one feature alone to me is worth the $20. So yeah, I definitely use that.
okay, yeah, because that's the thing. There's so many different tools. I know there's Bard. I've never tried that. There's other ones too that I completely forgot the name. But do you
Cloud.
just
There's one called Cloud from Anthropic. And then there's
uh
Bard from Google, which has recently become Gemini. And now it's
oh,
accessible. Like I think at one point it wasn't accessible outside of the US and UK. But now
mhm,
I think it's globally available. So they're all versions of the same thing, right? And I would
yeah.
encourage people to try it out, like try a couple,
Mhm,
especially if you like nerding out on that kind of thing. And if you like to like check out a few things and look at options, like even go on YouTube and stuff. There's so many people who've made videos about like this versus this versus this. And, I often find myself going to those resources, to
mhm.
look it up. So, play around a little bit, but yeah, I mean, that's the tech side of things. There's more than that as well, right?
Yeah, I mean, I haven't tried the paid version yet. I've tried other paid tools, that's not ChatGPT. But I know there's a million things. I'm a very huge tech nerd as well, so I like to like play around with different AI tools, especially, and just try to see like, okay, what is working for me and what doesn't. And there's hundreds of new tools coming out every
Yeah.
single day. So it's really like do your due diligence, see what works, practice, and just like learn how other people use it or work with Susan and figure out what tools
Correct.
are best for business.
For your thing, right? And I would say the easy way to think about it is what tool do I need? The harder
Mhm,
answer and the better one is you have to know what you're trying to do. The more clear you are of what you do in your business without the
mhm,
technology, the easier it becomes to get the right technology. So like if you
mhm,
find the block in your business is scheduling, then maybe you need some tech that involves, you know, simplifying the scheduling, right? And if you find that you're having a lot of issues with, I don't know, like customer queries or email, you know, perhaps you need to
mhm,
deal with that. Maybe it's community management. So it's really like understanding your own workflow, I think, before anything else. And then your own system or your own processes, and then believing that those things are pretty unique. Sometimes because it comes easy to us, you're like, oh, it's all up in my head and I know how to do it. And I got this. And you do got it. But like if something can make it like 50% easier, why not?
yeah, exactly. Yeah, and I love that you mentioned about like really laying down the the main tasks that you want a specific program because there's so many, it's easy to get overwhelmed with all the tools. So yeah, definitely just like writing down all of the different tasks that you want a tool to accomplish and then go to Google it. I know there's like AI databases where tools can be found as well. I just forgot the name, but do you know of any?
There are. I can give you some to put into the show notes. Nothing is coming in directly to my mind right now, but there are
Yeah.
like pretty much there's like a tool a minute right now. Take a look at the GPT store itself. I think there are
Oh,
people
cool.
listing a lot of GPTs on there.
Okay.
And then like look for people on social media, like I said, YouTube videos and LinkedIn is a great place for people to who talk a lot about like what the new things are and how it relates to business specifically. I think Instagram is becoming like more of a source where you're finding more and more people are starting to talk about these things. I'm not on Facebook myself, so I, couldn't care less what anyone is doing it there or not. But yeah, I think just social peer set, building some of those communities in which you're learning,
Mhm.
is a good place to start.
Okay, cool. And when it comes to images now, like I know that's a whole other thing.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
How do you feel about AI for generating images or even like headshot photos of yourself? Like let's say you're a coach and you need
Yeah.
headshot. Would you use that?
I tried some. I don't love it yet. And again, I say yes, because I think it's progressing. I think that the learning curve is a little bit steeper with images than it is with words, because I think the prompting, I know some people who have excellent results. And I know there are some tools that give you pretty realistic images. And like, I've seen a lot of folks who posted it and said that this is AI generated. And I can legitimately believe, like, that's you, people. Like, I know what you look like, right? And so, um, I do believe the better you are at using it, and there's tools like Midjourney, which are quite advanced, but I find it complicated with all the Discord server things and all the whatever. Like, it's a bit more geared for like the gamer minded people, I think, and that's not me. But on the other hand, like with Dolly, which has been integrated into ChatGPT, I find myself like lacking. I'm not sure that I love what the visual outputs are from something
Yeah,
like that. And I also think that a lot of people's fears relate to imagery as well, right? Like the misuse of images, and like what if it's like fake news, and like more recently, OpenAI has announced the text to video feature. So right now you can prompt, the tool is called Sora, Sora. You can prompt and create video, right? And so, like,
wow.
is anything real anymore, right? I mean, and how do you know that something's not like fake, and how do you establish like authenticity? And so I can imagine a lot of people are very uncomfortable with it. I think my personal appetite for something like that is a little bit more advanced, and I'm happy to check it out. But I just don't think all of us can do it the way all of us can use words. I don't think all of us can deploy images with the same ability.
I agree with you. And there is a lot of controversy when it comes to imagery with that's generated using AI, especially in the artists. They feel like some of the output may be stolen
Yeah.
from other artists as well too. So there's like a huge controversy right now. But in terms of like, let's say, I know there's different tools or AI tools out there that enhance your image. So let's say you give it some images already of yourself, then it could like, I guess, generate like more professional the settings of your headshot
Yeah.
photos or not. So I would say in that way, that would probably be the better way or use of
I
it.
agree with you. I'm here for
Yeah.
that. And I think the
Yeah.
overlooked tool in that area is Canva. And Canva has been
Ooh,
making a lot of upgrades to its AI capacities. And there are things like expanding the background and like removing, like, for example, there's this thing in my background with a fan. I wish it wasn't there. But like pretty soon, I'm sure we could take that out with a great deal of ease. Earlier, you have to do it with like, it's complex, right? And so I think Canva has some of those abilities. It has like some corrections, if you're looking for that. So that level of like enhancement and improvement and, shall we say, touch up kind of thing. Sure, I'm here for it. Like, I think we can totally like take something which is legit and then make it a bit more professional. I think what I feel hasn't come a long way is like just putting in your standard. Like, if I went and put in my image and I'm like, create a picture of me in a blue suit with like, a razor cut. I don't think it's quite there yet.
yeah, you have to.
Yeah.
It's developing, but it's yeah, definitely not there yet. And I've tried using Midjourney, and that has been it's really really cool at generating other types of images, like you mentioned. Not really great with generating like hands. I would say that's like the
I know,
major
lots
con.
of fingers, right? There's like, what's happening there? Yeah.
I noticed that a lot because I was playing around with it, and I'm like, oh, it's not quite good with hands for some reason. So yeah, definitely something to keep in mind. But in terms of like generating sceneries and like other cool things, like Midjourney is like really, really good. Like it's very realistic and very cool to play around with. But yeah,
Yeah.
definitely due diligence with that. And it's always developing. But in terms of headshots and just like enhancing photos, like Canva does a really good job, like you mentioned. Like I even for my podcast cover, like I used an old photo of mine because I couldn't find any other image that suited the cover of what I
Yeah,
wanted.
yeah.
So I had an image of me with my scarf, and I didn't like the color of my scarf, so I changed it using Canva to like make it darker. So you can do things like that.
Which you would have had to pay an artist, like a digital artist, a lot of money to do that in the past, right? And so there's a
Exactly.
level of democratization. And like there are people who are going to be like, oh, what happens to the digital artists and who's going to pay them? Well, they're going to do different types of art, right? It's no longer going to be that particular kind. And there's always going to be a need for artists. They're just not going to be changing the color of your scarf anymore.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so I know we spoke a lot about different tools, but are there any specific like AI-driven strategies or tools that you'd recommend for coaches to maximize their marketing ROI?
I think as a strategy, one of my like I'm a big fan of what again goes back to OpenAI, and the fact that there's custom GPTs, which is basically your ability to go there and give it like a process. So I know that in the case of a lot of coaches and consultants and folks who are service based, there's what you would call your frameworks or your secret sauce or your way of your 5-step process or whatever, right? I think there's a real opportunity to list out what those processes are and then create these private GPTs for yourself, like test and play with it and see if it can save you time, right? On like delivering some of the things. Like for example, if your standard, coaching is like a 50-minute session in which you go through like a discovery section and then you go through like I don't know, like a back and forth problem solving section. And then if you come to some type of like three conclusions, like if you're able to program this into a custom GPT, and if you're able to like, just feed it something and be like, hey, give me notes before I go into my session with Fifa. Like, imagine how cool that would be. Like, imagine how cool it would be if you can, not to say that you're not thinking anymore. It just
Mm,
means that, like, often you find people will not do notes or minutes or documentation as much as they need to be doing, or as much
yeah,
as perhaps like the more structure you have in your business, the more your business value is, right? And so these kind of things, I encourage people to play with custom GPTs. See if
mhm.
you can make some systems and frameworks for yourself.
That's cool. And I know people create programs out of these custom GPTs and just like sell it as one thing as well, right?
Hmm.
So that's really like it's evolving now. That's why so many people are coming up with so many different tools every day. Like hundreds are coming out every day. So,
Yeah,
uh, but you can definitely create a custom GPT just within ChatGPT itself, the paid version, right? So
yeah,
it's like just
correct.
one thing.
And you don't have to release it and get other people to pay you for it. You can just simplify your own workload, right? And you can simplify your client facing work perhaps or something, internal.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with you on that. I haven't yet played around with the custom ChatGPT just because I don't have the paid version yet, but I do have, like I mentioned, other tools that have already
Yeah, yeah,
done
yeah.
it. So yeah, there's so
Oh,
many different ways. And I know one thing that has come up for me is there's now a lot of people using ChatGPT as a way to get coaching advice and stuff like that. I mean, I just had this conversation with one of my friends earlier, and she is actually using it because she found somebody teaching people how to use ChatGPT to like prompt you like certain questions and like kind of like be your coach. So what are your thoughts on that? And is it gonna replace coaches overall? Like, what should coaches be wary of?
think it's going to replace coaches. I think the level of offering that you have is perhaps going to change.
Mhm.
And I'm here for it in terms of like leveraging something like AI in order to get it. Because like no matter who you are and how much money you have, it's not possible that you have like a 24/7 coach, right? Who you can pay all the time. who's advising you all the time. And so if you can have that in the form of a machine where there's an ability to go back and forth and some brainstorming and that second brain idea, right? And
Mhm.
so I would encourage people to do that. And I would tell coaches not to worry from the perspective that you're going to get replaced like that. Instead, ask what it is that is your highest value, right?
Mhm.
Ask where is it that you're solving those problems? Where is it that you're bringing that humanity, that creativity, that innovation, that humans need to bring to it? Because the machines at this stage, or even for a very long time to come, will get you maybe 80% of the way there. Bringing it home beyond that, it's going to have to be humans. And so we need to like prime ourselves for that, like top level, real intellect based work.
Yeah, I agree with you on that. No matter what, AI cannot replace us, and it's just enhancing what we already have and what we already
Correct.
know. So that's the whole mindset of using AI as part of your life and as part of your business too. So
For sure.
as a final note, we spoke a lot about different tools and different things, but is there like a number one tip for coaches that you can share that can help them really build a lasting impact and stand out in a world driven by AI? Like, what's your number one tip that you want to leave people with?
My number one tip is to sort of like build your thought leadership. Like get out there, put your voice out there, whatever that looks like. Don't aim for that perfection piece at all. Don't worry about all of the 10 things that you have to do to get your funnel perfect. Like just go out there, have some conversations, do this, like go on a couple of podcasts, express a couple of opinions. Maybe like go to a few communities, you have conversations, but just like let the world hear your piece. Let the world hear your opinion. And that's why I think tools like AI they can speed it up. Those days it took us weeks to have a thought and then put it on paper and then get it published on our website. It took like weeks to do that, right? And now you can
Mhm.
do it in hours. So yeah,
That's a
get
great,
your voice out there.
yeah, no matter what, you still have to show your face. You still have to show up and, just be seen and be heard. And people need to know your personality at the end of the day. So ChatGPT and AI cannot replace that.
I hear you.
So yeah, gold advice. So yeah, I am really excited also to hear, like, I know like you're doing a lot of different things in the space and you're helping a lot of businesses. Is there anything exciting coming up that you're working on, or would you like to share a resource or something with the audience?
Yeah, I think I'm leaning a little bit more into the AI for your personal side or AI outside of like your work part. So I do have a guide, and I'll give you the link to put into the show notes. I do have a guide which is called AI to Design Your Life. It focuses on productivity and you know time audits and personal and professional growth on a few levels.
Cool.
And I think there's a lot of gains to be had there. So I'm definitely like working on creating more of awareness around that through like events and more conversations and stay tuned for some like in real life things that I'm working on because you can't be stuck on the cloud all the time. You have to go and see people in 3 dimensions.
Absolutely. Well, that's super exciting. I can't wait to share that with the audience. Definitely, you can see that within the show notes and the description. I will be sharing that link here. But thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you?
I'm quite good on LinkedIn, and there are a few resources that are pinned on the top of my profile. So follow me, connect with me, and then grab one of those resources. And yeah,
Well, this was a fun time. I loved chatting with you. I mean, I'm always like such a tech nerd when it comes to tools and all these things. So, I mean,
me
thank you
too.
for your knowledge. Yeah, I knew this chat was going to be really, really fun. And Thank you for sharing your wisdom about AI because this is really, truly the future. And I'm excited for those of you listening to start adopting the strategies that Susan shared today because there's a lot to be learned and there's a lot of tools you can leverage out there to really grow your business. You don't have to do it alone. You still have machines and stuff that can help you with that. So thank you for sharing everything, Susan.
Thank you for having me.